Today we're going to learn how possibly Earth gained its water. How did Earth, a mass of stardust, coalesce due to cosmic forces, end up having an atmosphere full of life-giving humidity, H2O, and which includes the atmosphere, includes the seas and all the waters, because they're actually part of the atmosphere, even though they make up the life force of planet Earth. But first of all, before I explain how Earth gained its water, a joke from our sponsors, Politically Incorrect Comedy Incorporated. Someone asked me a little while ago, do I argue with women? I never argue with women. Because so long as they can cook, clean and do a bit of the other, I don't give a fuck what they're saying. So I don't argue with them. End of story. So I agree with everything they say. That's the right thing to do with women. That shows them that respect they want is a total agreeing with everything they say and do. And then that is a perfect world. Yes, that's how it is. So anyway, after that little bit of a cynicism for Politically Incorrect Comedy Incorporated sponsor, I want to explain how Earth come to be, how this living body of water, which we all are, we're intrinsically involved in. We're intrinsically involved with the air and with the atmosphere because we breathe in CO2, which is a life-giving force, which is there in the atmosphere. We also breathe it out, and we breathe in H2O as well. I mean, we breathe in water. It's extremely dry. You won't be able to breathe at all because there'll be no water in there. So that's something to consider. So these life-giving forces of CO2 and H2O work together to create life on Earth. Regardless, some of it ends up like Greta Thunberg and not much of a living thing at all, other than some sort of display. What happens if you become a vegan? You end up also becoming a mutant, because some of us can't tell whether they are a boy or a girl. But I do digress again. This is to explain, honestly and truly, how Earth came to have water, oceans and seas and rivers and everything. Well, it sort of happened like this, possibly. And let's take Mars as an example. Mars used to have lakes and seas and rivers and all those things. One time or one day, 3.5 billion years ago, or whenever it was, something hit Mars and shook it so badly, maybe it got very, very hot, roasted the surface so much, the water vaporized, and the humidity that was in the atmosphere all at the same time vaporized into a cloud of gas, H2O, into space, and then coalesced again as a comet. So maybe Mars seeded Earth with water and the potential for life, which was then on Mars. Now, if we look at that, then there's a sort of a clue to how throughout the universe and through each galaxy, which we're sort of intermingled with, the spiral galaxy we're intermingled with, maybe, where does water come from? Well, difficult to say really. Where does it originate? Where does H2O originate? That's something you can know. Because without life, without H2O, there's no life. So it's a very common chicken and egg thing. You can't have life without water. So therefore, wherever there's water all over the universe, there's a chance of life. Now, there's also where there's no water, there's no life, and where there was once water, then life becomes extinct once the water's gone. Now, the Earth is in very little danger of losing its water, but I don't know how much water goes out onto the outer atmosphere and vanishes into space. But say a massive fireball of a comet, several thousand tons or more, hit Earth, one piece the size of Tasmania, hit Earth and heated up the thing, and all the water vaporized and went up into the sky, into the stars, into the ether. Then that would maybe form another ice comet and then bombard somewhere else as the other stage, and have this potential for seeding life on another planet. Now, that may be sort of make believe, because we can't scientifically prove it, and no one can actually say. There could be other ways water was created on Earth, thousands of years of lightning and causing reactions between oxygen and hydrogen, creating the water somehow like that with the electrical. The whole atmosphere was full of electricity. Eventually, that caused the Earth to cool. But there's an awful lot of water in the oceans. You go, well, how do you get all that out of that? That's a very interesting part of the dynamics of the actual physical makeup of the Earth. If it's made out of stardust, and well, the sun's got hydrogen in it, obviously. The stars of hydrogen in stardust. Whatever the Earth isn't actually made out of stardust. It's just made out of cosmic dust. I don't know if stardust rings the right bells, because what is in stars, then you have all the evolution of all the from atoms to molecules of various elements all through the periodic table. But I do digress. Where does water come from? And how come water's like carries the potential for life across the universe? So it makes a sort of sense in a way that at some stage Earth might get smashed into by a huge comet, like it has been before, and caused sort of serious damage and extinction, and then it recovered because it kept enough of its water. It kept enough of its water on the planet to then restart life, or to help the life that was there continue, evolve, and adapt. Now, some of the questions: was Earth wetter before the dinosaurs were wiped out by a comet? Was it damper? Was it more moist? And was it was more humid? Was it warmer because the Earth was still giving off a lot of heat from the centre? It hadn't quite cooled down as much then. Or was it warmer because there was more water vapour, moisture in the air, in the atmosphere, to trap more sunlight? So it sort of gave it a genuine, whole tropical, genuine greenhouse effect in that respect. And if all of Earth is tropical, well, that means there's abundance on life in all of the Earth. So if say they were right about the greenhouse effect, runaway green on Earth, well, to a point, though it might disrupt life as it is now, to some people, we can't really tell if it is or isn't. There's a lot of rhetoric and nonsense. But eventually, if it warmed up all the planet and there's abundance of moisture all over the planet, more evenly spread, obviously, chances are you re-evolve Earth to when there was 90% more life, a lot more life in the past, when there was more water, more humidity and water in the air, and more CO2, there's much more greater abundance of life. So the idea of being afraid of CO2 is like being afraid of steam. You can become frightened of it if you want to, but it doesn't actually make sense. It's just water, and it's just CO2. Anyway, just a bit of an idea. Where did water come from on Earth? It smashed into air on a big ice comet that was become a planet somewhere else that had been hit by a meteor comet that had blasted that water off that planet, and that had become a comet, an ice comet, and then that ice comet, bang, it's into somewhere, attracted to somewhere like Earth, and kicks off life on Earth at some time later, cools the planet down, cooled it down, end up all steamy, created the perfect environment to generate life and evolution. So there we are. Anyway, thank you.